Hey there, welcome to Intoxicated by Grace. So, the job that I have affords me the opportunity to travel, and over the last few years, I've been able to go to some amazing places on this earth, places that I never in my life would have dreamt that I had would have been able to go and see. Johannesburg and Cape Town, South Africa, Australia, Germany, Norway, and it goes on and on and on. And I've been able to meet some incredible people and see some just amazing things. And I wanted to share with you something that I experienced that had a pretty profound effect on me. So what I'm going to show you here is I was traveling to the Netherlands to work. And one of the days that I was there, I ended up leaving. I was in a little city in Netherlands called Leeuwarden, and I had to head back to Amsterdam to catch a flight. And on the way back, there was this little town called Zurich. You can Google it, look it up on Wikipedia, and you can find this little place. It's Zurich, Friesland. This is all part of the Netherlands. And so I stopped because they have a very, very large dam. And then you can look over that and you can see a huge expanse of water. And so I drove there, I pulled off, and I went walking there and looked around for a little bit. And then I turned and there was this little town, and so I thought that I would go just kind of walk through this town for just a bit. And that's when I came across this church. And if you want, you can go ahead and you can Google this. If you'd like, I can even put some links in the description to give you some information about this church. It's very, very old. It had been rebuilt. But this little town only has about, if I recall, less than 100 people live in this little town. But when you look at this church, I don't know what stands out to you about that. But for me, it looks like a normal church in some ways, a very pretty, a steeple with the clock and everything. But to me, when I looked at it on that day, what stood out to me was it's in the middle of the cemetery. And I started thinking about what must the people who go here every week think? I can tell you right now, I've been going to churches all my life and never have I had to walk through a cemetery to get into the church. I'm trying to think if there's ever even been a cemetery close to the church that I've been in. If you go to any of the churches that are very popular today here in North America, you don't see something like this. But something that I have concluded over time is that with churches of old, everything had intent. Nothing was really accidental. Today, if we go into a church today, nothing's accidental. Everything is intended. The lighting, the sound, those type of things are intentional. But that's not what I'm talking about here. In these churches of old, when you go into the sanctuary, when you go in there, the way that it's laid out, there are lessons, there are principles and Christian ideas that are being presented. Listen to me now. Even the height of the ceiling. You can do research on this, and you'll be amazed at what you find, especially some of the old like Catholic churches. The way that sanctuary is laid out, there is great intent behind it, and it's not about lighting, and it's not about sound. It's to bring the worshiper into a frame of mind. It's to remind the worshiper of some things. So what do these believers, as they walk into this church, what do they gain? What's the intent then to walk through this cemetery? And to me, the power behind it is to remind them each and every week what their fate is. As they walk among those tombstones, as they see the names perhaps of those they know or have known, and then they go in to stand before God. And I think that a really important point needs to be made, and I think that it's commonly missed, is when somebody will ask or make a statement such as, "Are you saved?" Or they'll say, "I am saved." You need to be asking yourself, saved from what? Or maybe a better question would be, saved from who? The answer is God. As they walk into this church to worship, do they have the relationship with Christ that saves them from the complete and utter wrath of God? You see, I believe in the new covenant, and I believe that things like the sacrificial law and the sacrifices, those things don't apply to me. But let me tell you something. There was something powerful in those symbols. You're a Jewish father, and in keeping with the customs, you bring that lamb into your home for days, weeks, for some long extended period of time, and that lamb is in your home. Your children are fond of it. They pet that sheep. Perhaps they name that sheep. They play with that sheep. They love to feel its fur in their fingers. And then the day comes where you, the Father, have to pray and symbolically move and cast all of your sins onto the head of that lamb that's done nothing. And then you have to take the knife and slit its throat, and it gives its life for your sins. I'm not suggesting that we move back to that. But those symbols to remind us, this is what we are missing today. The megachurches are great. Maybe your small congregation is great. But we need reminders like this of what it is that we deserve in this life. We need reminders that life is truly so brief and so fragile, and we need to be asking ourselves, where do I line up right now? So I hope this is in some way an encouragement. I'm not trying to bring everybody down, but I'm trying to maybe just present a video to allow us to refocus ourselves. Find some ways that we can remember what is really important. That's all I have. Hope you guys have a great week.